Hello and welcome back to the third episode of The Lincoln Show. Yes, that's episode 3. Today, unfortunately, my guest couldn't make it to the studio, but I have already pre-recorded it with them. There's no chair there, there's no camera there to capture no one in that chair because the chair is non-existent today. Due to various logistical reasons, I had to do this over Zoom instead of in person, so that sucks a bit, but it is what it is. Now, the guest I'm interviewing today is one that I'm really happy to have been able to get onto the show. You'll know him from his overwhelmingly positive tweets about the club. I'm sure all of you know him. If you're watching this, you're probably someone who uses Twitter regularly or social media following Lincoln City. So I'm sure you'll know who it is. It's, of course, Mr. Cornell Brumant. Now, I recorded this yesterday, so I know what it's about. We'll be talking all about the Oxford and Stevenage game. We also touch upon Freddie Draper's goal against Cheltenham away from home and Skubala as a whole. Cornell was an incredible guest, really loved the guy, brilliant to talk to, so I'm very happy to have recorded an episode with him. I'm about to throw you into the podcast episode, but thank you for watching, listening, whatever you've been doing for the past 2 episodes. The support's been quite good, overwhelmingly quite good. I've received some messages and stuff, and it's really quite nice to see that. So, keep it going. Why not? And without further ado, into the episode. This is the third episode of The Lincoln Show, hosted by myself, Henry Elwell, and I'm so happy to say that I've got Mr. Cornell Brumant onto The Lincoln Show. Thank you very much for coming on. It's genuinely an honor to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me on the Lincoln Show. Unbelievable. I'm so overwhelmed.
No worries at all, mate. No worries at all. So let's just get straight into things. Why not?
Yeah.
So obviously, we're in the title. Well, no, not the title race. That's wrong. We're in the play. We're in the rush for promotion football, hopefully. And Oxford had a massive game that they should have won against Stevenage.
Mm.
Everything was written for them to win, and obviously it ended in a draw, 1-1 for them. Did you watch that game? What was your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that was that obviously the stipulation was simple for them. If they won, then the
Yeah,
game, the top 6 would be in their hands. But honestly, I obviously predicted that Stevenage would beat Oxford, and
yeah,
obviously ended in a draw, and they did us a favor and said, listen, we've drawn against Oxford. You do your job against Cheltenham, and said done. We've done it, and we're in the top 6.
yeah. I mean, and that's a testament to that game as well. I mean, Stevenage did fight hard in that game. I was
Mm.
watching it. The only time in my life I'll ever support Stevenage was that game sort of thing. You're thinking, oh, don't let Oxford do, and you know what? They did very well, very very well for
Yeah,
a team that just lost their manager.
mm.
Steve Evans just upped and left, and so they had their caretaker manager come in and everything like that. So fair play to them.
Mm. Of course, yeah. I thought they played really, really well when they were playing against Oxford. They really pushed Oxford to the limit because they did, and I think they wasn't expecting their manager Steve Evans to leave and go to Rotherham that he was managing before. They expected him to stay and say, well, okay, stay till the end of the season and then leave. But obviously, when you got offers been offered to you, then obviously it's going to be very hard to refuse and very hard to turn
Yeah.
down. And all of us fans was thinking, well, how is Stevenage going to cope without a manager? Who is going to be their manager? And I think whoever does step forward for them and takes them to the absolute limit next season, or this season, yeah, their assistant manager did very, very well to set them up and to put Stevenage where they're supposed to be. Obviously, no doubt about that. And the plan worked, and the plan was to get at Oxford and hurt them on the counter attack. I mean, yeah, they scored first, despite it was a own goal, despite they said it was Kane Hemmings that was supposed to have
Yeah.
scored the goal, but it went down as a long own goal, and then after that, then they conceded the penalty, and then they, converted it through. Brannigan does what he always does, and I mean, he's not as good as Ethan Aron. Ethan Aron is the best midfielder than Cannon Brannigan. No doubt about it, even though I think Cannon Brannigan is way too good to be playing League One football. He should be playing Championship football. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, he's like their main focal point at Oxford, isn't he? He's very good. Is Runningham, so definitely not a League One player. Definitely not.
No, and
He'll be kicking himself for the fact that they're not in the top six now.
yeah, of course, yeah, he will be kicking himself, and they'll be thinking, well, the pressure is on them, Henry. The pressure is
Yeah.
on them to respond. Like, obviously, they're expecting to be in the top six. They're expecting to be in the playoffs. That is their aim. Just like our aim is to be in the playoffs because we've been in League One for 5 seasons, and it's time for us to go forward as a club and go beyond and have a taste of playing in the championship and playing against teams that maybe we have never played before.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really nice. It's really exciting as well, being able to be in the playoffs, isn't it? I mean, to be able to like, at least challenge for it. We're sixth at the minute. We must win against Portsmouth. But it's very nice to be in that position, isn't it? Rather than like 17th or 11th or, somewhere like where, yeah, at the end of the season, it doesn't matter where you place because there's no effect. But it's really nice now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing for us to be in top six. I mean, last year we was 16th in the table. We was under severe threat, obviously, of either fighting for our lives in the relegation fight, Kennedy being dismissed, and then obviously Skubala coming in, turning it around, doing what he does
Yeah.
best. His first game, it didn't go so well. We lost to Stevenage due to the lack of final third, and obviously Hackett being out injured, House being out injured, and then we've got other long absentees like Walker and Monson being out to injury as well. But
Of course.
what we have done is we've caught with the pressure. And then as soon as we heard that House was coming back, as soon as we heard Rico was coming back, and just after we had just lost to Blackpool on New Year's Day, it could have been free, obviously, to be fair. And then when I heard that Rico Hackett was coming back, I said, you know what? He's coming back. We're going to see a different Lincoln City. House, same thing. And since then, being 9 games unbeaten, which we deserve to be because we worked very, very hard.
Yeah.
Michael Skubala's put the whole hard working determination on the training ground with the players. He's really pushed them. He's gotten used to him. They've gotten used to him, what style he wants us to play, what formation he wants to set us up. And the positive attacking football that you're seeing this season from us is outstanding. We're seeing a brand new Marcelo Bielsa from Skubala.
It's it's so nice as well. I mean, there's an obvious difference between a Kennedy Lincoln side and a Skubala Lincoln side, and how positive it is, rather than like, because I always thought with Kennedy and Appleton, to be fair, it was very negative football. It was very like, let's stay back, let's not do anything. You get 1-0, that's it. Whereas Skubala, it's like, yeah, challenge, always getting after that ball, always, no matter what the score is, you keep going. It's so nice to see that.
Yeah, it's so brilliant, and the way that we're playing like streetwise futsal football from
Yeah.
Skubala, like Kennedy and Appleton. It was just completely negative. It was like, okay, well, we sit back, we go 1-0 down, we don't do nothing, we don't go forward, we don't go and attack them, or we don't get in their faces, or we don't be that sort of physical, aggressive team that we're seeing now from us this season
Yeah.
under Skubala. Like the negative. I mean, don't get me wrong. We did decently well under Appleton, getting
Yeah.
into the playoffs, getting into the playoff final. Yeah, we got beat to Blackpool fairly well and square, and they went into the championship. Kennedy, yeah, it was pretty decent. Yeah, he used to play either a back four, sometimes he used to play back three, sometimes he would go over expense. But I think like since Skubala's like come in, he's just had a purpose and he's had a vision and say, well, okay, well, I know how I want to set up my team. I want to set with a back three. Obviously, it would be a back four if it wasn't for our injury crisis to the
Yeah.
likes of Hamilton and McGrandles. It wouldn't be a midfield five. It would just be a midfield four. But because of the injury crisis, and then there's fringe players on the bench, who obviously need to come on and prove their point and say, well, I want to be in this team. I want to be playing for Lincoln City next season. I don't want to be sat on the bench. So that's how Skubala is seeing it, and he's seeing it in a different way. And what's really attracting a lot of pundits in the EFL this season is how Skubala is wanting us to play. He wants
Yeah.
us to be positive. He wants us to be optimistic. He wants us to be determined and say, you know what, go after them, defend, attack them, hurt their defense, make them work, give them something to think about. And Skubala's doing the same thing. You know, he's the master of the technician of how he wants to set up. If it's 3-5-2, if it's whatever formation that he thinks will suit us. And you're seeing that. And that's the reason why Skubala is really making us feel, well, we feel positive again.
I think you brought up a really good point with Skubala's like whole futsal experience. You know, that's how he like learned his trade almost, if you will. So I think that's crucial because that's coming from an outside point of view, coming into football, which often I think that often people who don't like, you know, people who sort of like almost come into football relaxed get better from that because they're not thinking too deeply into things. It's more logic rather than like tactics all the time. So I think that almost is beneficial for Lincoln City if we keep that model of right, let's see what we can do here rather than being too over tactical about it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, it's a vision that a head coach or a manager has, and they feel, well, I can have a vision of how I want to set up, what formation I want to play my team, and if they can adapt to that, then great wicked results are going to come, and that's what's been going on. And that's what's been happening, and that's the reason why, you know, he's been nominated for the manager of the month. And I mean, we've all been upset that he hasn't won it, or why he hasn't been given
Yeah.
it, because look, we were 9 games unbeaten as we were. You know, last year we were on the verge of relegation. We were 14 points of the top 6. We were 15 points of the playoffs. Right now, we're on the verge of doing something special come the end of the season. But
Yeah.
Skubala's vision is to play attacking, pressing football, press the opponent, press the defense, press their midfield, time the tackles, do what is right. And Skubala has proven that, and he's showing that this season.
Yeah, it's so nice to see. Anyway, so the our last game that just happened yesterday, we played Cheltenham away from home and we won 2-1. Now, what's your thought? I mean, obviously, it's so nice when you see Freddie Draper score goals for Lincoln City.
Yeah.
Youth academy, you know, from Lincoln. He's not from Lincoln, but you know, youth academy from Lincoln. And you can't help but it brings a smile to your face, doesn't it? When you see a young Freddie Draper score goals.
Yeah, it made me even so happy to see Freddie Draper score, because I think, look, listen, Freddie Draper's gone through a lot of things. I mean, look, Michael Appleton never favoured him when Michael Appleton was our head coach. He had
But
to
then
go to the
again,
League of
but then he would have been like 17 with Appleton though. So, you know, doesn't he's quite
Yeah, of course. And not only just that, I think like he's come such a long way. His improvement has just completely gone, completely shown. He's
yeah,
showing his improvement, what he wants to be, why he wants to be playing for us, why he wants to make his impact. And honestly, he had to work really, really hard. Kennedy never favoured him. Honestly, had to go to Warsaw, go and get, score 10 goals, make him feel, well, okay, well, if I'm going to be in the Lincoln City first team, I need to prove something. I
yeah,
need to prove to Appleton, I need to prove to Kennedy that I belong in this team. And he did that. And he said, you know what? I'll go to the League of Ireland. I'll come back. If I have to go out on loan, he'll go out on loan. He went on loan again, then come back. Then again, go to Warsaw. And then think, well, okay, I'm going to score 10 goals. I will score 10 goals, and I will prove to every one of you, not just excluding myself, because I've always backed him and
sure.
bring the optimism and the positivity, but honestly to fans that maybe felt, well, does he have a future with us? Well, why is he on the bench? Or there was a few worries because some Imps fans was worrying, well, if we bring him back, he's going to be on the bench. He's probably not going to be playing. But you know what? The thing about Skubala is, and this is what I love about Skubala, he believes in younger players. Like he's believed in Makama because Makama was going through serious backlash throughout the first half of the season, having a young talent like Mark Makama, who was obviously up front. We had no strikers whatsoever. He was working so hard. He worked so hard to get where he had to be. And right now, he is proven to be something that we have never seen before. And I'm so proud of Makama. But Drapes, honestly, to score yesterday, that has given him so much boost. Even when he scored against Reading, and I thought that is the winning goal. That is the winning goal. And I remember even before the game even started yesterday, I went on his Twitter and I said to him, listen, you don't give up in scoring. You don't give up in scoring at all. You keep on going. You keep creating chances. You do it with determination, and you do it with fighting spirit, and you do it with positivity. And since it's done, he scored, and this is going to do him a lot of good. It's going to do him boost his confidence even more. It's going to make him even improve as a player that he is at the age of 19 years of age. But honestly, Draper scoring yesterday was one of the best things that you ever see from Freddie Draper. And I said that from time, the more improved he gets, the more better he's going to be under Skubala, the more outstanding he's going to be.
Just quickly to interject during the show, please, would you go follow the Instagram account linked to this show? It's at Lincoln_show. That's on Instagram. I've also, I'll drop a photo of it here. If you're visual, if you're watching on YouTube, please go follow it. It's at Lincoln_show. Thank you very much.
And I think that's opened up the floodgates for him in effect, hasn't it? Like his confidence is boosted. You can tell after the game, giving it the big ones to the fans. That's the type of stuff that's the building blocks, isn't it? That's what will get him kicking off now. And I'm sure he'll play to some degree against Portsmouth. I would stick him on the first team for that game, just out of like, you know what, mate, come on, let's play a game. But yeah, obviously we went 1-0 down to a penalty. That was a bit like, well, we didn't need to do that at all, did we? Really?
No. And when I saw that on the iPhone, I was like, well, Mandroya, what are you doing? Why are you just giving that penalty away? We are 0-0. We are defending for our lives because you have to give Cheltenham. They're fighting for their lives to stay in League One. Yeah. Right? They obviously attacked us. They caused our defense so much problems going forward. They caused so many problems, especially that Thomas Young player. He was a threat going forward, and he was causing loads of problems. We had a bit of spells in the game. I'll be honest. I think we did, but we just didn't play well. We had a stinker in the first half, and then Mandroya giving the ball away and giving the penalty away. Honestly, and I'm thinking, well, why? What has he just done? What have we just done here? We have our back against the walls. We are in the process of actually going back into the top 6 until the final day of the season, because it's going to be twists and turns. But honestly, to be 1-0 down was a disaster. We had a disastrous 5, 10, 15 minutes in the game. 20 to 25 minutes, we started to get our stride back. We started to have great possession of the ball. Yeah. We started to move it around and then getting in space. But you know what? And then coming back from 1-0 down, we show character, even though there was time in the game. And I said, you know what? We still got time in the game. We will come back. We will come back, and we will make that comeback. And we did that in style. Joe Taylor, fantastic hit. 1-1. We're in it. We start controlling it. Half-time, something had to break, Henry. It had to break. And second half, Freddie Draper scores the winner. We won it in style. We're back in the top 6. Right now, it's in our hands. Right now, we need to go into Portsmouth believing, which I know the players will go on and believe. They will go and do it with determination. They'll go and believe with optimism, belief, and fighting spirit, and say, listen, doesn't matter what the results, despite we may need the results to obviously go in our favor, but as long as we go on and win and go on and beat Portsmouth, because obviously I think Portsmouth, obviously they lost yesterday 2-1 to Wigan, and they'll be thinking, well, well, Lincoln's probably going to go in there and beat them. So we'll just sit back and let Lincoln beat them, and let them celebrate and get into the top six. They've won the title. They're going to go play championship next season. Our job is to go on and beat Portsmouth with nothing to lose. We have nothing to lose. Whatever happens from now to then, I'm still going to be proud of Michael Skubala and the players.
Yeah.
But obviously, the main target right now is to be in the playoffs and have a fantastic run. I don't care if it's Barnsley, even though I think Barnsley will probably likely drop out of the top five, and we'll probably, you never know. I think we could even be in the top five and probably
Okay.
and then not I still believe we'll be in the top six for sure.
Yeah,
But you never
yeah.
know. We might even go in the top five and say, well, okay, we'll take top five. If say for example Blackpool finish sixth, for example, and they're getting sixth and we get fifth, and we have to face Blackpool in the semi-final and both first leg and the second leg, we'll go through it. And then obviously I think Bolton, obviously, I think will be favourite for it as well. Peterborough will be favourite for it as well. And if it has to come down to Peterborough versus us, so be it. But obviously, for us, it would be fantastic for us to be in the top six, because we've been in League One, Henry, for 5 seasons.
Yeah.
5 seasons. And I know that the players don't want to be staying in League One for 6, 7 or more seasons. They want to be going up. They want to be testing themselves and saying, oh, I want to play against a Millwall. I want to play against a Norwich. I want to play against a
We've got
Coventry.
hungry players, haven't we? Hungry young players at the end of the day. That's what our team is based on. We don't have like these endless 30-year-olds that have got the veteran experience in the game. They are young players that want to progress in their careers, and whether that be with Lincoln, obviously that's what you want. And so hopefully that's the driving factor, if you will, into the playoffs and hopefully into the championship.
Yeah, of course. I totally agree with you. And obviously that's the main aim of the club is to bring young players, either it's from the Premier League, if it's from the Championship, if it's from League One or League Two. Yeah, of course we're going to go for players who are out of contract, of course, but they've got to be the right players at the right time. There's no point going into the free agent market and you're thinking, well, oh, let's get this player. Oh, that player is great, but then when he plays, then he's not what he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
We are getting players that we want, that the club wants, and that is going to deliver success. Like we brought in Joe Taylor on loan because he scored 15 goals for Colchester United. Now he's scored 10 goals this season for us. He's come in with a purpose. Alex Mitchell, the same thing. When we were lacking depth in the defense, we had to bring somebody like Alex Mitchell into the fold. Right now, you're seeing the very best of Alex Mitchell, despite that, obviously, Jackson has had his injuries left, right, and centre, but he's come in and made himself heard and his impact heard. But honestly, that's the main idea of the club, is to bring in the right players at the right time. Yeah, of course, I'm not saying that we can't bring an experienced player. Like we look at players like Elliot Watt of Salford. I would love to see Elliot Watt at Lincoln.
Okay.
We was linked with him. We was linked with him before through Mark Kennedy when we had bought like Burnham and O'Connor. I would love it. I would love it if Elliot Wyatt, was at Lincoln City from Salford, and I would love to see a new front three or a new front four. I mean, imagine it: Ethan Aron, Hamilton, and Elliot Watt. Honestly, that would be really something. But whoever comes in the summer, I mean, look, we've been linked with Jordan Gabriel and Edwards of Dunfermline. These faces are going to be linked with us, and obviously I'd love to see us get someone like Con Clark, from the non-league, who's bossing it down there. But honestly, it's down to Skubala, and then we've got to remember as well as Imps fans, it's going to be Skubala's first ever summer transfer window, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens from now till then. But honestly, how on the way things have been happening, we have come a very, very long way. But obviously, player-wise, I think it's going to be very, very interesting who's coming in, who comes in the summer, honestly.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we go the Leeds route, if we do a Leeds, because obviously he's got connections to Leeds. So it'd be interesting to see if we do the Leeds route, because obviously we had Poveda was meant to come supposedly. I don't know how true that was though in the end of it. And like obviously we linked with Archie Gray, but obviously we weren't going to get Archie Gray. Archie Gray, he was too good almost. So it'd be interesting to see what we do there.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, of course. I think I think Skubala is going to go into the Leeds United team. I know, yes, of course, we was close to getting Pavida, and I would have loved Pavida and with us to be with us on loan. And obviously, he opted to go to Sheffield Wednesday, who's obviously fighting for their lives in the relegation fight for the Championship. Then they'll be to come down to League One. Obviously, I would love it. Archie Gray, yeah, as you say, yeah, I think would have been way too good. I think there's other young players as well.
Yeah.
But obviously, I think Jez George coming out a couple of weeks ago saying that we're going to be getting players overseas, and I think that's a brilliant idea, so that we don't have to keep relying on loans. I'm not saying we can't have loans, but I think this is where I have to say that us, Lincoln City as a club, have to learn to buy players on a permanent deal instead of relying on loans. Because when you rely on loans, you don't know if they're going to stay. You don't know if they're going to go back to their parent club. Like, obviously, we all want Alex Mitchell to stay. We all want Alex Mitchell to be part of our team, because Alex Mitchell shows what we're missing and what we need in our team. Honestly, Joe Taylor's the same thing. But honestly, it depends on what Luton do in the Premier League. It's what they do. If they stay up, then obviously he's going to be playing, Premier League football. Like, you look at Brennan Johnson, you look at Morgan Rogers, who was part of our team, part of our review. They developed into the players that they are today, and right now they're playing Premiership football, Tottenham, Aston Villa, because of what we did, what we have done for them, how we improved them, how we developed them. We're doing the same thing for Joe Taylor, and we're doing the same thing for Alex Mitchell. But the fact of the matter is, it's down to them if they want to stay, or they just want to go back to their club and say, well, okay, I'll try and get in their team. But if they go out on loan, then it's going to be interesting to see if we go back for them or not.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if we could actually get Taylor. Probably not permanently, I doubt, because he's been doing that well that Luton obviously will have their eyes on him, glued on him, effectively. He'll probably, if you'd imagine Luton will go down to the Championship, right? So it'll probably be a mainstay at Luton. Let's be real. But but if we make the Championship, who's to say we can't just, say, oh well, we want him now.
Yeah, of course. I agree with you, Henry. I think when we do make the Championship and we do go all the way and we have the best playoff run this season, in the playoff season, and whoever we face, if it's a Barnsley, if it's whoever we face, and we go all the way and we get in the final and we go on and win it and do something special and create that opportunity that will go down in history. Honestly, I think there'll be Championship quality players that we could be looking at, honestly, and making sure that they are the right ones at the right time. And Skubala will have his targets. He will have his targets, and he'll think, well, oh, I really like look at that player. Oh, I think this player will do wondrous for us. And not only just that, they have to fit the style of play that Skubala likes playing, because he's not going to go for players and say, well, he's good, but will he be able to fit in my style of play? Will he be able to fit in how Skubala lines up next season, regardless of where we are? So these questions will be asked. Jez George is going to do the same thing. They're going to look at the recruitment and think, well, this player is really, really good, but it's the same thing. Will he adapt to how Skubala wants him to play? Will he be able to fit the formation that he likes to line up? Because I know at some point, when pre-season does come around July time, I think the formation is going to change.
Okay, yeah. So obviously our next game is a big one, isn't it? We got Portsmouth as the last game of the season.
Yeah.
Obviously they're champions. So that they, if they want to be nice, they can put the youth team out. Be nice. But no, it should be a very good game. What's your predictions for that game, score-wise?
My predictions for that game, I want to go 2-0 to us,
Okay.
because I think Portsmouth will probably sit back for like 5, 10, 15 minutes. I think they'll sit back and say, well, Lincoln, you come on to us, you pile pressure, because that's what Wigan did. They shot them. So I think we've got an opportunity for us to go into that game believing that we will get the result. We will beat Portsmouth, and we will be in that top 6, because we will fight. We will fight, Henry, and we will take them to the absolute cleaners on Saturday. Next Saturday, it's going to be the biggest game of their lives. The players are going to be in it. Rico Hackett obviously will want to have some retribution against Portsmouth, because obviously I'll be honest, I think we did miss Rico Hackett after that injury. And it's obviously he will want to score. He will want to score that winner. Joe Taylor obviously will want to score 11, 12 goals. I think he might even score more than that. But honestly, listen, I think this is a massive game for us, Lincoln City. This is an opportunity. This is the redemption for us to say, listen, we will go into that game believing. We will stop at nothing until we have won that game and get what we want. And that is the top 6. Oxford, yeah, they'll have it. They'll have the pressure on. Not underestimating Exeter. I believe Exeter will beat them. Blackpool, yeah, of course, they'll want it. Other teams will want it as well. But we want it more. We want the play. We want the top 6, Henry. We want to be in the top 6. We want to be competing against the very best. We want to be beating the very best and showing that we have the talent. We have players that are hungry for success, Henry. We have players that are willing to really be improved and to be better. And we will be better, and Skubala will get the best, has got the best out of us, and he's proven that. So I think it's between 2 scores, 2-0 or a 2-1. But I think for me, I'm going to go 2-0 for us.
I'm going to do the exact same as you, 2-0. I genuinely believe that we're very hungry for this now. We're starving, and especially when you've got young players that want to prove themselves and have a good footballing career, you need to go all out. It's the last game of the season. Just do the most. Do literally anything and everything. You've got nothing to lose but everything to gain from this one game of football, and they're already champions. They're already off in the sunset. Portsmouth. So
yeah.
yeah.
They're champions, so and they're going to be playing championship football, so they haven't got nothing to lose. They ain't got no stipulations. We have more stipulations than Portsmouth. Our stipulation is to finish in the top 6, which us Lincoln City will finish in the top 6. Me being optimistic and positive on that. No, but us Lincoln City will have our backs against the wall. Some fans will be looking at the phones and saying, well, what's going on? What's going on with the other results? What's going on with the other teams? Because obviously Northampton, they have to do us a favour. Reading's got to do us a favour. Mostly the other teams that are playing, they've got to do us a favour. But we don't need to worry about that. We don't need to worry about the other teams. We need to worry what the task at hand. The task at hand is to win against Portsmouth. Our task is to beat and finish in the top 6, and the players will know that. Skubala will drum that in their heads from now till next Saturday. That is the aim, and to have fantastic football, be wicked on the ball, keep getting forward, keep hurting the defense, keep making them work, and these things. That is the aim of the game. But obviously, Portsmouth, even though some Portsmouth will say, well, they want us to beat them. And I don't really blame Portsmouth fans really if they they'd say that. But honestly, next Saturday, we will take the game to them, and we will send a statement and say, listen, we've just beaten you, and we will be in that top 6, and we will stop at nothing until we get what we want.
Yeah. And I can't wait for that game. That game's going to be an absolute brilliant one, isn't it? Cannot wait for it. But thank you very much, Cornell, for coming on the show today. It's been a genuine honor to have you on the show. Your optimism in it is brilliant. I love it, and I take a lot from you genuinely, because it's like it's so much better to be a positive football fan than it is to be like negative, like you always see on the TV and everything like that. Like all the United fans always crying about everything. Like it's so nice. It's so nice to be like positive about the game of football. So I really do appreciate you coming on this show, and also you in general on Twitter and everything like that. It's brilliant, honestly.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
No worries at all, mate. No worries at all.
Thank you.